Hey everyone, the Good Captain here, and welcome to my playthrough of Axis and Allies 1914. This is a game that's being played with the out-of-box rules, no bid, and this is against a human opponent. This will be Austro-Hungary's fourth turn, the first turn where armor is introduced. But before we get into Austria-Hungary's turn, let's do a review of what happened on Italy's turn. Just a quick recap. This is my. I don't know if this is a blunder. Blunder might be too strong a word, but leaving Smyrna open left, is essentially a freebie if the Italians decide to activate user transport to land a troop there. So I was concerned about that. So let's see how it goes. So the Italian player builds 7 infantry, saves 2. Okay, so this is interesting, but the more I looked at it, I don't think it's necessarily a wrong play. He retreats from Venice. So I have 17 infantry, 6 artillery, and guaranteed air supremacy, and I guess he didn't like that. Actually, I haven't done this, so let's see how bad that really was for him. Wasn't really thinking of pushing on Venice, but I definitely think I have to take that now. Sort of a fruit that has fallen into my lap. But let's just see what he was looking at, because I never looked at this. That's what I like to do. Just, yeah, it looks like he yeah, the attack was in my favor, and if I brought more air units, it would have been even more so. So I guess I can appreciate that. So he pulls back from Venice, but leaves a blocker, uh, and then brings up his reinforcements that he placed from last turn into Tuscany. So now he's got a big army in Tuscany. Okay, 1 infantry moves from Anglo-Egypt to Egypt. And I think that's it. He places his 7 in Rome, calls it good. Doesn't do anything with the Navy. The Navy stands fast. Okay. The Americans. Now this is where things got odd. I don't understand this purchase. This is round 3. Next turn they're in the war. He started with what? I think he was saving his money all these turns. Yeah, so he had an artificial 60 at the start of this turn. So this is his last turn to buy what he needs to buy, because next turn you're in the war and you gotta get after it. So he buys 4 transports to take care of the 8 ground units he has on the United States. That makes sense, fine. But with another 18, he bought 2 cruisers. Now this, I wonder if that's a mission task assignment to the American Navy to crush the Austro-Hungarian Navy up here. Because I can't see what else that would be for. That's my prediction. He's trying to crush the Austro-Hungarian Navy, question mark, with this purchase. Because, we busted up the British Navy pretty good in this game. And he spent quite a bit on UK naval units up here. And, I was happy about that because it means the Ottomans, less pressure for them to deal with. But why the US? It must be that they're going for the Austro-Hungarians. Yeah, so he didn't spend the last 18, and I don't know. I'm not going to be critical of any players. I don't know enough about this game yet to speak with any degree of certainty, but I am sort of scratching my head on that one, I have to say. I'm scratching my head. I'll just say that I've played this guy once before. I can't remember if he used the USA to take Spain, but that seems a fairly stock move. I've seen more than one person do that when I play as the CP. More than one other play other than this fellow. I think that's a solid move. I've done it when I play the Entente. now. I've played 2 games as the Entente, did it both times, looks great. I like it. You can flip-flop your transports at 4-4. You can constantly move 8 pieces into Spain. They walk to Marseille, to Piedmont, sorry, or wherever they're needed. They just cheaply, it's a very efficient, then you have 24, so you can buy 8 infantry every turn, which fits perfectly on the transports. You can alter the purchase a little bit, if you as needed for tanks, aircraft, artillery. It's beautiful simplicity, and can be quite consequential. But anyway, all right, I'll put a pin in it there. Let's get on with the current game. Okay, so after much thought and consideration, I've decided to build 1 aircraft and the rest infantry. And believe me, I wanted to build other things. I like to, have an armor if I can get it on the first turn as AH, Austria-Hungary. But after carefully studying the battlefield, this current situation, I think we can't take the risk of splurging on something like an armor unit. I think we need warm bodies, as many of them as we can get. This is sort of an intermediary turn for the Austro-Hungarians, and I'll try to demonstrate my thought process as we go through this recording here. So that is what I'm gonna commit to. Yeah. Okay, so the combat move. Let's talk about the East Front first. I was studying this situation from the Russian side. I will be highly surprised if Russia spends any effort to go into Poland. And this is kind of an adage from Axis and Allies, the other core units of this game, but generally speaking, when the enemy has a sizable army adjacent to one of your capital, it's difficult to go gallivanting around the board and doing other things. And so I expect most of these assets in Russia to fall back to Moscow. And I should explain that I'm going to move some or most of my army, I should say most of my army for AH is moving into Ukraine to join the Germans, and therefore we will be too big to attack effectively. So I don't think Poland will be touched. If he did, it would be like a suicide death. He pushes his army into Poland, and then I can't cause the revolution, but it would be silly for me to not just simply gobble up the capital with a double whammy, double attack. Germany kicking the door, and then the AH breaking it all the way down in their turn if it didn't fall to Germany. And then you'd have a big army in Poland, and it might kind of move around for a couple turns, but I expect it would fizzle. And I won't talk too much about why I think that. I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but anyway, all this to say, I expect him to fall back to Moscow, and I will be quite a bit surprised if he doesn't after I complete this move. So just another quick historical recap. This is a failed attempt at a blocker clearance. This can happen as often as planes get shot down by anti-aircraft. That's to say 1 in 6. 1 in 6 times sending in 2 infantry and an arty to remove an infantry and capture the territory won't work. And that's what happened here. So my task now is I want to do this. I have the luxury of doing this, and so I'm going to do this, given what I'm going to do with the army I have in Galicia. And I think I'm hitting it with 4-4 in an air, but it might have been 5-4. Yeah, so I just want to put it above 90, 95, so it'll be 4-4 with an air unit. There we go, 4-4, and the air unit will come from here. So that should put Romania back in my pocket, and whenever I clear a 3-point defense, I'm going to assume 2 hits on the part of the enemy. So this will be infantry swaps, but I'll gain an artillery on the Russians, right? So he committed 3 units. I expect to lose 2 infantry. I expect him to lose all 3 pieces. So he'll overall come out net loss 1 arty, and I'll get the 3 IPCs for Romania. This does mobility kill those 4 artilleries, but my objective with the rest of this nonsense is to my long-range plan for Russia right now, subject to change every turn, every power's turn. I can change my strategy. I'm not married to anything. I'm not emotionally attached to anything that I come up with. But I do have this idea of once we gain Ukraine, we want to learn. We want to try to gain one more territory, and we could probably just hopscotch or just push the Germans into Belarus after the Russians fall back, and then the Austro-Hungarians can trail in behind them and turn the Ukraine into a huge dead zone, because I intend to move 5 infantry up here. These 4 infantry, 4 artillery, and air unit will also be clear, so we'll have at most, these 13 pieces plus air plus this army. So anyway, not to get too far into it, that's the way I'm thinking. So we can slowly earn our second Russian territory adjacent to their capital, and then gain access to Livonia. We also have Tatarstan and Sevastopol to pick and take if we so desire. So that's the general idea over there. And then here, Tyrolia. Yeah, I think we're going to stack over here, and I'll go into this in just a moment. I don't see any reason not to do this. This is overwhelming strength, but again, I don't see any reason not to play it like this. I'm going to send 2 infantry out west, and this is, again, I'll go over. I'm going to do the moves here first, and then talk about it. And then one of these fighters needs to come up here. And what was I doing with the other fellow? I think I just put him here. This will give us air superiority. The Russians only have 3 fighters. With our combined air power, we have 4. So air superiority generally means air supremacy. Even when the enemy has 10 fighters and you have 9, the enemy has a distinct advantage. It is pretty shocking. When you run the battle calculations, just having 1 more puts your side in a statistically superior position. Not to say you're going to win 100%, but it's something like 75 to 80%, 80 to 85%. It is quite stunning, but I don't want to go through the battle calculations on that. This video is already getting too long. Okay, let's do a quick discussion on the West Front. The French, he did a blocker clearance in Alsace, so whenever you do AH's turn, I think you should have an idea of what Germany's going to do. So I have the idea for Germany to move into Alsace and smash this blocker clearance team. This will put dead zone pressure. Well, it won't put dead zone pressure, sorry, but I think I have to do this. I obviously can't move to Picardy, else the armies in Paris, Burgundy, and Lorraine can attack it. Like this triplicate of armies can form into one and punch it. So anybody that thinks that Paris looks exposed right now, that is a misconception. I ran the numbers. I will refrain from wasting your time and doing it in front of you, but it's not a good thing to do. Plus, we can get cut off and unable to retreat and just demolished. So, no, we're not going to stay put. I want that $3. I want to make trades and take away one of his arty, and I also want to be adjacent to Switzerland, because what the opportunity I see is the French. The worst thing, in my opinion, the French can do, the best thing they could do, is use the army in Burgundy and Lorraine and dogpile Switzerland. This would then allow access to Tyrolia. This will force the Austro-Hungarians to fall back, and not even to Tyrolia, because we wouldn't have enough troops to make it competitive, especially if the Italians decided to attack Venice. So I know this sounds complicated, but if the dominoes fall in the way that I'm hopefully making sense to you, we could have a much reduced army that is unable to defend Tyrolia for 2 turns from now at potential French attack. So the idea here is this. We take Venice to remove this Italian peace, to gain the money, and just to try to keep the Italians back. But I do expect the French to take Switzerland, even after the German army is in the Alsace. I expect the French to go Switzerland. I expect the worst thing I think that could happen is the Italians then attack Venice at a disadvantage, but it would weaken the Austro-Hungarian army. The Austro-Hungarian army would then, with a big French army in Switzerland and an Italian army that's on top of it, be forced to withdraw, not to Tyrolia, but to Trieste. And at least from Trieste and Vienna, we could put some dead zone pressure on Tyrolia. So that's how far out I'm projecting this worst case scenario. And that is why I bought all infantry and one fighter. We're going to need all the bodies just to potentially stem this tide. And yeah, anyway, I could keep talking like that, but boy, it sounds really boring, even to me. So I think I'll just shut up and roll some dice. I feel like I got a handle on anything and everything that can happen. A quick pause. Let me review this on my own one more time. Yeah, we look good. I'll just one last quick note: the Italians did not take Smyrna, as you can plainly see. So, despite that oversight on my part, looks like nothing came of that. So we'll roll these off. This is the only one of any concern to me. It's not 100%. It's something like 4% of the time we'll end up in a stalemate. But, you know, now I'm talking myself out of doing it like that. No, let's not be. I've already defanged the AH army in Ukraine enough, so yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, the French can't touch Venice. Oh no, they technically... 1, 2. No, the French can't touch Venice. Yeah, okay, so off we pop. Here we go. Let's do Venice. That's a smash. Let's just see if he hits me. No, he didn't. Lucked out, and then, yeah, we smashed. And we lucked out again, so overall he rolled -1. He should have popped off one or more CP troop, but failed, so. Okay, there's no non-combat movement in this game. You should have done all your combat, or all moves on the combat move. So we'll drop in our assets. And that's it. Yeah, Albania is vulnerable. Perhaps I should have left a pair of artilleries back here, but this disparity between Tuscany and Venice, which was such that it was an all-hands-on-deck sort of thing. And in fact, this front, the west front is quite weak as we focus on Russia, but that was part of the plan. So, thanks for watching this. All the best from the good captain, and bye-bye.